Hi, welcome everyone to another episode of Let's Talk Special Economic Zones. I'm your host, Ainsley Brown, and in today's episode, I'm going to focus on developers, and that is developers, landlords plus 2.0. In a previous episode, I had done landlords, I mean, developers, landlords plus. So now this is developers, landlords plus 2.0. Essentially, it's turning the developer into a service provider. So, but before we get into that, and this is a new business model being proposed, or new area of focus for developers. So let's take a couple of steps back though and look at what a zone is. So a zone, whatever you want to call it, special economic zone, free zone, enterprise zone, enterprise area, industrial park, foreign trade zone, etc., etc. There's multiple names for the same thing. It's basically a designated area within a country, a geographic space that has been designated legally so under some law, creed, program within a country that says that uh, certain fiscal and non-fiscal incentives apply to companies that operate, and there are rules as to how you get in and rules once you're in how you ought to operate. Basically, what a zone is, right? Within a zone, and there's different types of names. There are going to be um, the developers. There's going to be the occupants. Sometimes people say users. It's different kinds of names being used. So you have the developer, who is the person who or company that builds and operates, owns and operates a zone. And oftentimes, but not always, that can be the government itself, right? And then separate and apart from that, there's a zone regulator, right? But sometimes the zone regulator and the developer are one and the same, right? No, but you tend to find that there is that separation for different reasons, administrative reasons, why they um, different regimes separate those two roles. Then you have the occupiers or occupants or users, depending on what terminology is used, that occupy the zone and carry out the commercial activity, right? Now, the developer, again, being a landlord, rents out space to these users, occupiers, occupants, whatever you want to call them. And that is their main function, activity, to build the zone and operate and maintain the zone. So they would be basically a landlord, but they're a little bit more because of the nature of what a zone is and the obligations that they would have to their clients under the law that governs the zone regime, and also to the regulator or to the government, right? So, and because these areas typically have special customs designation, customs plays a critical role in it in some way, shape, or form. If not the customs authority themselves, customs principles apply in terms of how goods are treated when they're brought in and then brought back out, etc., etc. Now, when you look at a zone, they have to move, many of them, and I would say I would recommend them moving, if this is allowed, of course, within the context of their law, to integrating and becoming more of a service provider. Yes, infrastructure, build out the zones, maintain it, and lease out, rent out areas. That's very important. However, becoming a service provider adds additional and different revenue streams. Now, if the developer is the also the regulator, and depending on the law, those many of those services can be government services, right? Or they can arrange with other government entities, and in essence, some sort of profit sharing or fee sharing arrangement is made, if that's allowed under the different laws and constitutional arrangements, so that there's a bit of an assumption there, right? That is allowed. But you can, things like visa application for foreign workers, are an example of it. Incorporation of businesses and etc. These are government services critical to just getting the zone up and running. Permits that are needed, required, um, to import or deal with or handle certain products are as another example. So offering those services um, can become a new. But let's step away from the government side of things and look at it from more a commercial side. Um, and this is where things get more interesting for me anyway, and exciting, because then the developers can become, for example, logistics providers, right? They offer logistics services, warehousing, storage services to their clients, to their occupants, to or users, whatever the name you want to use, for the entities that are carrying out commercial activity within the zone. They can do, within the logistics service, basically become a third party logistics provider and provide, um, um, you know, picking, packing services, labeling, you name it, right? And even certain value added services as well, while the occupant slash user concentrate on their core business within the zone, right? So that's one example. They can become equipment renters, supply equipment to the occupants. And this can be come in a variety of forms. It can come in the form of setting up zones that are plug and play, where all the equipment is there and they just have to bring their staff in. But of course, that plug and play, those equipment come at a cost, right? But then also, you could have a situation where an occupant, you know, it may need a piece of equipment, but they don't necessarily need it all the time. And normally they would buy the equipment. It would rest idle, say 30%, 40% of the time, or even more. The developer could have that equipment, maintain that equipment, and then lease it out to their occupants to use as when necessary, right? Freeing up cash flow for the occupants, but then creating a new revenue stream for the developer, right? You could have IP resources, that intellectual property resources, I should say, that the occupants can use. For small business enterprises that come into the zone, you could set up, what's called micro franchises, where by the rules around, franchising apply, but they're adapted to the micro enterprise. The reputation, the rules around, the quality standards around, say, for example, you have an MSME, to illustrate it by an example, that is it, you're going to give them a micro franchise to bottle honey. Well, the honey has a specific established trademark, which the developer owns. There's a certain particular standard. There's a certain particular reputation that's already been established by the developer around this specific product, that then this micro franchisee is just coming in and operating. And that could be something that the developer could offer to a small business, as an example. So the possibilities are endless. This is an exciting area to think about, to brainstorm, to recalibrate zones that have been strictly focused on being a landlord, leasing. That's their main model. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating a complete move away from that. I'm saying that that's probably going to be the core, but on the periphery, or in addition to being a landlord, you can add some additional things that are supportive of being a landlord. They're not contradictory, but supportive, and create new revenue streams for the developer. So If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, share. If you want to see me do a particular topic or you want to leave me a comment, just leave one down below and I'll get right back to you. Bye for now.